Hello everyone, Mr. Happy here, and welcome to Mondays with Mr. Happy, aka Mr. Happy Mondays, a weekly Q&A show where you ask me questions and I answer them. Once again, I gotta get used to not saying this, because I've fallen into a rhythm with the start of Mondays with Mr. Happy, and I'm used to saying videos at the bottom, but we can't do that anymore. Well, we still can for another, 3 weeks, but no more of that. The videos are at the end of the video. The thumbnails are at the end of the video at this point. It's been kind of a busy week this week. Persona 5, as you all know, has the whole debacle going on. Here's the thing. There are still videos I can make for Persona 5 that don't break any of those DMCA rules. Like, I could do guides on the... You know what the funny thing is? I could do all the guides and just not show gameplay. Like, I could be like, oh, this is how you beat the last boss of this dungeon, and don't even show the boss on the screen. That would be kind of weird. But I've considered doing things like that because I really want to play Persona 5. But I'm going to try to stay adamant and not stream or make content for that game until they reverse the policy, regardless of if some people are getting away with it, and Atlas can't keep up with all the people that are going against the rulings. I'm not going to be the one who goes, oh, well, somebody else did it, so I'm going to do it, and then I get fucked in the ass. Trust me, you don't want to be that guy. You don't want to be that guy in this industry. Trust me, you just don't want to be that person. Anyway, so I know I'm probably going to get a few questions about Persona 5 here in the question area of the Monday video, so let's just get started because we got a lot of them over on the forums. Alright, so question number 1. Hey, Haps, did you know that Pippin's English voice actor also voiced the main character of Xenoblade? I did not know. I don't really know voice actors all that well. Like, I've only ever really met I've met 4 minimum, but I've just never really... I don't know voice actors like by name or by voice very frequently. Sometimes I'll affiliate them with the other character, but that's about it. Anyway, so I see you've got yourself a roulette system here, the class roll system, an unfortunate suspicion, and bonus for bonus. You know, I haven't taken the first question in a pretty long time, so let's take that one. There's a skill both DPS mages and healers benefit from. What do you think will happen to the accessibility of Swiftcast? I think they're going to have a lot of different categories, and excuse me, my throat's getting a little froggy right now. There's a lot of categories we'll probably see. There'll probably be melee, range, and then they'll break it up into mage, physical, and what's it called? There's probably going to be so many categories, it's going to be hard to tell. But Swiftcast is going to stay for healers and DPS. First of all, it is natively a black mage ability, so the caster DPS would honestly get it. But I think it's going to go into like the caster category, and all the healers and any caster, including red mage, is probably going to have access to it. Alright, on to the next one. Hello, Happy. How are you today? I am doing alright. I'm probably going to have to keep clearing my throat throughout this video, because, I don't know, I had some beverage before. Maybe I should go get something else before the next question. Anyway, my question is, with Stormblood on its way, when it hits 70, will we be more likely to get new tomestones? Do you think Square Enix will keep the current tomestones from Realm Reborn and Heavensward, making for a total of 3 different currencies? Or do you think Square Enix will remove tomestones of Poetics and replace tomestones of Scripture, making all the eye level to 120 and 160 gear Bible with one currency? Yeah, I mean, regardless of how you had kind of finished that question, I saw where it was going. Yeah, I think that Scripture is going to now just be the currency from level 50 to 60, and that we'll have the 2 tomestones, with the third one obviously mixing it up when we eventually get to recycling the tombstone, so you can move up to the next tier. But for 50 and 60, yeah, I definitely think Scripture tomestones are going to and not 160 gear. By the way, I'm talking all the way to 230 gear, or even 250 gear, not 160, 120 to 250 gear, because like the 170 stuff and the 200 stuff is already purchasable through a different means, so I don't think they're going to do that. But Scripture will definitely incorporate all 50 to 60. All right, on to the next one. Hello. Hi. If you have to eat a fictional Final Fantasy creature, what would it be? Is that even difficult? Chocobo, because that's probably like chicken. I gotta know for certain, right? That's like asking me if I had to pick... you know what? Here, I'll make my answer a little bit more fun, all right? I specifically want KFC Kentucky Fried Chocobo with a side of mashed potatoes. Hopefully, that's a more adequate answer, but I'm going with the Chocobo, hands down. On to the next one. Here is a short and sweet... No, it's 8. Okay, there you go. As a bonus, I double every bonus you get this week for the Q&A. That is quite generous of you. So, thank you. Thank you very much. 2 questions. First one is about the Omega Raid. What do you think we're going to fight? If you go and do the Interdimensional Rift in Final Fantasy V, expect almost all of those bosses, at least up to a maximum of 12 of them, including Omega Shinryu. And honestly, if we don't see Exdeath, we might see Enuo. I wouldn't be surprised to see either or of them. One of the two, either Enuo or Exdeath, we're going to be seeing. Then you have Omega and Shinryu. Those will both be, if not 1, but 2 bosses. And then that leaves 9 other bosses. There's tons of bosses in the Interdimensional Rift, and I fully expect them to recycle a bunch of them from the Final Fantasy V encounters that you have there. Do you think we'll hide in some area? Just happens to have our next raid bosses, or maybe Primal Sealed. Do you think we will hide in some area? Just happens to have our next raid boss in, maybe Primal Sealed? No, I don't think it's gonna have anything to do. I think I answered the question adequately enough, despite the final little section you had right there. Second question. So your character's name is Mr. Happy, but what is his first name? It's Mr. M-I-S-T-E-R, and then last name Happy. Mr. Happy was originally taken, I think, on Sargatanis when I made my character. Well, actually, no, I think it was taken back all the way in 1.0, because I wanted to do MR Happy, and I remember not being able to. I wonder if back then, when 1.0 launched, if you needed to have a minimum of like 3 characters for your first name. I don't think you did, though. But there was a good reason why I didn't have MR Happy. I just don't remember what it was. But yeah, it's Mr. M-I-S-T-E-R for the first name. On to the next one. Greetings from the UK, Mr. Happy. First time asker, overall newcomer to the channel. Welcome, and hopefully you've been enjoying it. So as a first time bonus, I present to you a one-on-one interview with the man himself, Yoshi P. One day I'll remember to ask for that. I just literally never asked. All these years I've always been like, man, I wish I could do that. Man, I wish I could do that. And I'm friends with so many people at Square Enix. I never once thought to go, hey, can I do that? Never did it. I'm just an idiot. Gotta be asking that. First off, I would like to say that your channel has been a massive help with all the guides, dungeon primals, and raids. I've been playing 14 since I haven't been playing 14 for very long, so thank you very much. Oh, I guess you have been enjoying it. Thank you for the kind words. So here we go. Oh, you got some questions here. All right, so let's see. That's 3. Let's go back up to 1. I main Bard, and I am now at the level where I'm doing endgame content more and have the endgame gear, the Shire gear. I was wondering what material would be best. So currently for Bards, it's critical hit rate over skill speed. Those are the 2 stats you'll probably never end up dipping your wick over into the determination aspect of the job. Make sure that your accuracy, if you are planning on doing Creator Savage, make sure you have an accuracy of, I think it's been a while, I think it's 699 or 696 or something like that. Basically just around 700 is a minimum accuracy you're going to want to make sure that you hit. But skill speed crit and skill speed should be able to handle it on its own, and you shouldn't. I think the best in slot for Bard has a handful of accuracy melds. I think like 4. I don't remember for certain though. I haven't been keeping up because best in slot is fucking 2 months till the expansion comes out. That shit doesn't matter at all. That you're gonna replace it by level 65 or 67 or some shit. So I haven't even really been paying attention to how things changed after Proto Ultima came out, because I know that the best in slot list changed to some degree when the Proto Ultima accessories came out for Bard. But anyway, yeah, crit over skill speed, and then make sure you hit that accuracy point, however you decide to do that. 2, with the Stormblood right around the corner, do you think it's worth trying to attempt to complete at least 1 animal weapon? So that depends on if our animal weapon now will give us a shortcut going into the animal weapon equivalent in the world of Eureka in the expansion. If it does, it could be worth completing 1, but, I mean, that's on you, because it's not a great experience. So that's on you if you want to complete it or not. But that would be the benefit, potential benefit, not confirmed benefit, of you completing your animal weapon. And 3, how do you shut someone up who just complains about not enough tank classes in the game? The fact Samurai should have been a tank 17. You can't. Here's what you do. You do /blacklist add name. And you're just like, I'm tired of it. I can't put up with it. Like, I've heard you saying it over and over again. Doesn't change it. I heard you the first fucking time. You're not saying it to anyone else new in here. You're just saying the same shit again. /blacklist add name done. You're welcome for your. You said thank you for your time. I'll say you're welcome. All right, next question. Apps. That's a long A. Just remember, I'm keeping the long A on that one. You know what I hate? People who try to tell you which door to pick in Aquapolis. Always go left. Just praise Beyonce. She already told you to the left, to the left. All the loot is in the door to the left. All right. Can you tell anyone who does that to keep the big trap shut? Nah, I'm just kidding. You know, I just fuck with it. I actually see a lot of success with the whole roll down the middle thing, too. They don't have any special system. It's completely random, and the map owner should pick whichever frickin' door you please. I want to see you chat about how you know it's the left door or vice versa. Rant concluded. Thank you for letting me get that off my chest. I feel better. Well, then shut up, all you people, but pick the left door. All right, on to the next one. Hello there. /E. Senpai Skyrus gives Mr. Happy Rollenberry shaved ice. You know, I know there's Rollenberry shaved ice, but a part of me kind of feels like because you typed /E and you were pretending to emote it, that it got kind of sexual. And I don't know if I'm okay with that. Anyway, I'm gonna move on to the question. This is my first time asking, but I've been a fan for a while. Thanks for the news, updates, and video guides. Thank you for watching them. I've hoped for Red Mage since I started playing 14, and the hope for Puppet Master. Now, Now, this is somebody who you guys should pay very close attention to because they've got very good taste in jobs here. And Beastmaster. I think the game needs another pet job, but more specifically, melee pet job. I was wondering if you think Beastmaster may be a good fit for a pet tank. So pet tanking can be done. There would have to be some sort of changes to the way that we do it. Because, I mean, for example, like, Beastmaster would pretty much need to be taking the damage in place of their pet. Like, maybe they can place their pet for tanking the job and all their abilities come from the pet. But if the pet is going to be the one tanking with the way that our current party list works, the Beastmaster themselves would have to be the one having their health reduced, so that way it would be easier for the healers, or the party system would, or the party list would have to be changed so that pets are visible to everybody on the party list, which starts to get a little bit cluttered if you have enough scholars, summoners, or whatever messing around your 8-man party. So I'm not saying it can't be done, but I'm saying those would have to be the concessions that are made, and I'm perfectly okay with the idea. I'm never going to say no to an idea unless it's like so outlandish that it's already been shut down before by Yoshi P. He shut down Puppet Master. Somebody asked about Puppet Master in an interview, and he's just like, yeah, we didn't even think about that. It didn't even cross our minds, so no. Oh. I'm not going to go through these things because this is all speculation territory. It doesn't really add to the question. But thank you for your question this week. All right, on to the next one. Hey, Mr. Happy, subscribed to you in like October, I believe. Really enjoy your stuff. But anyways, here's my question. Thank you for watching, and let's get to the question. Question 1, I've been playing 14 for almost a year now, and I've really enjoyed it, the story and everything else. Recently picked up Dank Knight, that's what I call it, because a friend from a different server came over to allow me to play with me, and he's a self-proclaimed great paladin. All right. Moving on. I've tried the other tank classes, just don't seem to fit my playstyle like Dark Knight does. I know you've somewhat talked about Stormblood and how he needs to give tanks and healers more incentives, so what do you specifically think Dark Knight would improve on? So Dark Knight's just a little disjointed in a sense. If they make paladins that much stronger against magic damage, I'm curious to see what they will do to Dark Knight, because that's been one of the points that they're talking about hitting on Paladin, is that its magic, its ability to tank against magic damage is not great. So I guess it depends on what direction they take to remedy that on Paladin's side and what they'll add to Dark Knight. But I'd like to see some of their skills maybe be made more accessible and less restrictive. I mean, you have things like Dark Dance, which have the parry, and that's fine. But then you have the Dark Arts Dark Dance, which gives you the evasion, which a lot of Dark Knights, it's good mitigation, but if they have blood price up, they don't want to evade attacks. They want to take the hits to get the MP back. I'd rather just see it be 60% parry or something like that. They're also the only, I think, well, Bulwark's 80%, Raw Intuition's 100%, and then Dark Dance is, what, 30%? I think that might even be, yeah, I think it's like 30%. Don't know why they gave him such a low parry rate. And then on top of that, they have, what's it called? Reprisal, which is a main tank only ability. I'd like maybe Dark Arts to allow you to use Reprisal, maybe at the cost of a longer cooldown or something like that, if you're not main tanking. There's so many abilities that force them kind of into that main tank role, and that's really why Paladin and Dark Knight always counteract each other, on top of the fact that Warrior is so crazy good. I think that it's a really weird job because there's a lot of things I don't like about it playstyle wise, but it all ends up coming together into a really effective machine. So it's going to be interesting. It's going to be interesting seeing how they change it after they give Paladin a higher magic defense advantage there. There we go. Anyway, question number 2 here. I've heard some people say that Physic for Scholar is slow and does not always do the trick, which leads people to use all their Ether Dams or Ether Flows with Lustrate and whatnot. Those are just bad healers. Anyway, I'm mostly crit 12 material on my gear. First of all, they're not DPSing, so that's the problem. Second of all, Physic's not too slow. It's just a hard-casted ability. It's nothing flashy. It's not a Cure 2. I'll give you that. It's not a Cure 2. But it doesn't need to be a Cure 2, so you don't have to blow them all on Lustrates. That's just panic healing right there, or low macro skill for the pet, or something along those, or micro skill for the pet, I should say. Not to mention Physic power increases every time you use it. Huh? Wait, what? Huh? What? What? Huh? Eh? What? No? No? No. No. I don't know, dude. Scholar is a pretty fucking perfect mix of offense and defense. I don't think I could even think of, I know what to add for Physic, because that's, alright, I don't have an answer, because Scholar's fucking great, so I don't, if they give it anything else, it's gonna be even greater than it is. That's like giving Warrior more Fell Cleaves. Like, just make Fell Cleave 10-second cooldown, and that's it, and you get to go. That Physic thing, that doesn't happen, by the way. That Physic thing doesn't. doesn't exist. Anyway, moving on. Let's see. Another side note I've also been aware. Oh, okay, so it was just those 2 questions. All right, well, thank you for your questions. All right, on to the next one. Hey, Haps. Hi from Argentina. Hello. I don't know why I've never had, I didn't like no military background. I don't know what whatever. I started on 14 as my first MMO in January and have been following your videos since then. Thank you. This is my first time asking, so I have a bonus choripan. That's a food. Yeah? Okay. And some dulce de leche. Oh, okay. I know dulce de leche. Okay. I have 2 questions. First, with Stormblood on the horizon, is doing the animal weapon. So I go back to the previous question that I answered regarding the animal weapon for that. So let me see what the second half was. 2, my main class is Ninja, and since I'm playing with some latency due to distance, I'm worried I'll never be able to pull off the perfect rotations and achieve that insane DPS. Would you recommend it be high ping friendly? Monk is pretty high ping friendly, I feel, at the very least. I mean, I play with anywhere from 100 to 200 ping, I guess. It depends on if Battle Ping decides it wants to work that day. And I live on the West Coast. That's not going to be the case in the expansion or in May when they move the servers. But Monk will probably do all right, and we're hoping that Monk gets some pretty good love going into the expansion. So it might not be a bad idea to start getting familiar with that. All right, next question. Sup? What's up? All right. Now with all the majority of recurring bosses, summons, monsters, characters, whatnot have been introduced into the game. Oh, no, there's a lot more. Here's the thing. Now it's not so much a matter of the recurring ones. It's the ones that are popular in the games they come from. Those are still the big ones we have remaining. What other fan service can SC reintroduce into the world of 14 and Stormblood? Ruby, Emerald, Diamond weapons. That's always been a big one. Well, keep in mind, Omega weapon is not in the game. The Omega that we are referring to is not the Omega weapon. It is simply Omega. Omega weapon is a different entity in the Final Fantasy universe that is not directly related to the Omega Final Fantasy V and the forms of Omega that come after. But in some of the games, it's Omega weapon as opposed. Mostly because 7 popularized the weapon, so when they brought into Final Fantasy VIII, they just made Ultima weapon and Omega weapon, and they kind of still did that a little bit. Same with Final Fantasy X, it's Omega weapon as opposed to Omega, and that's on purpose. And then you move into Final Fantasy XI, you have Omega, and 14 regular Omega, 5 Omega, some of the remakes of the older games, just normal Omega. Depends on which game that you're referring to, though. So just keep that in mind, that Omega that we are going to is not Omega weapon. Also, probably not going to see them in the Omega raid. It's the Interdimensional Rift. It's a Final Fantasy V based raid. So like I said earlier, expect the majority of the bosses in there to be from the Interdimensional Rift of Final Fantasy V. And remember, there are a lot of raids and dungeons from the old Final Fantasy games with their own sets of bosses that they could just straight up pull into the game as long as they can make it make sense lore-wise. So totally expect that to happen, and that to be where they kind of keep going. Looking at the ship graveyard also, looks like it'll probably be a reference to Final Fantasy V ship graveyard. So things like that. Expect to see a lot more of that from Stormblood and on. All right, moving on to the next one. Hey, Mr. Happy. Hi. 2 questions on leveling. All right, let's get to it. 1, can you make a guide for speed leveling 50 to 60? I don't think I need a guide to say just do dungeons and Palace of the Dead. That's all it is. You literally just, if you're a tanker or healer, or you can queue with a tanker or healer and you can speed kill dungeons from 50 to 60, do that. If you can't, Palace of the Dank. It's not that fast, Palace of the Dead, but if you want to mix up and do Palace of the Dead with some Beast Tribe dailies and maybe a roulette, like a trial roulette, or your leveling roulette, or your level 50 roulette, you can do that. It's not going to be as fast, but it's going to keep you sane at the very least. I don't think that's really a thing that needs to be. Hey guys, how do you level 50, 60? Content. That's pretty much what it would come down to. But I know everyone's thinking, dude, listen, there's going to be so many samurais and red mages from 50 to 60. People are going to be doing Palace of the Dead anyway, because they're going to go fucking mad if they try to do regular queues with all the samurais and red mages from 50 to 60. It's not going to end well. And 2, do you think the leveling other jobs after Stormblood's main story will be shorter, same, or longer than 50 to 60? Probably about the same as 50 to 60. One thing I expect to change, though, is 50 to 60 is going to get a lot faster. I totally anticipate the armory bonus, which from 50 to 60 is a 50% armory bonus, for that to be brought up to 100% to match 1 to 50. I also wouldn't be surprised to see 1 to 50 maybe go up to 150%. That's not as important, I feel. I think the only place that's important is there's still that huge gap between level 46 and 49, that even with the 100% bonus and the XP ring, is still sometimes a bit of a block to new players. So you may see that change, but yeah, 50 to 60 will speed up, but 60 to 70 will probably be the same as 50 to 60. All right, on to the next one. Hi, Misterist of the Happies. You know, that sounds really, you know, when I read it before I said it, I was like, oh, this is going to sound really good. It didn't. So, not a first-time asker, so I'm afraid no bonus. Question, can you make a petition to Square Enix? No. I can't. What am I going to do? To give some all hard mode a lava Galakin mini. Just, here's what you do. Wait for the best opportunity to ask Yoshi P about really important questions. You'd be like, hey, Yoshi, hey, I'm Yoshi P. I'm in this room. You can ask me about the raid bosses. You can ask me about the story. You can ask me about the new content that we're adding. And you could be the guy who raises your hand and goes, yeah, can we get a lava Gala kitten in some all hard mode? And he's going to look at you and be like, yes, and that is the only question I will take for this entire time. See ya, everyone, later. And yes, he's going to say it like with that really broken sort of like ordering of the sentence right there. That's exactly, that's what you can, we don't need a petition when you can just do that. So make sure to ask it on the forums for the next live letter so that can be the question. Honestly, a lot of people will probably be down with the idea. So as funny as it is to make fun of, probably going to be. By the way, thanks for the bonus of a free Gala kitten here at the bottom. Anyway, next question. Alright, anyway, next question, like I said, sup Haps, simple question today. Why haven't you played Nier Automata? Wait, before you answer that, can you just buy it really quick? I'm not really into Yokotaro. I'm just not into his games. Like, the story, like I played Drakengard 1, and at first of all, Drakengard 1's a pretty fucking boring game. But then you get into the ends of this game, and by the way, Drakengard series is, you know, Nier happens because of one of the endings of Drakengard, and then Automata is... Anyway, you thought Kingdom Hearts was sometimes confusing. Nier's and those games just giant babies. That's it. I'm not into that. I'm not into the whole giant babies thing. But I will say Nier Automata's gameplay looks stellar. I just have no intention of picking it up just because I'm not into his kind of storytelling. And that does take away a lot for me when it comes to those kind of games. Alright, on to the next one. Hi. Alright, as we all know, Garleans love to build their forts wherever they go. As they have occupied Alamigo for over 20 years now, is it likely they have modernized this? Oh, everything's modernized there. There's going to be so much tech that is Garlean there. Although we don't know what kind of damage what happened with the 3.56 end cutscene. We don't know what kind of damage was done in terms, like we can't visually see it. So there's always a chance that a lot of it was damaged to some degree. So, you know, I don't think we'll have anything that looks like Midgar, but we'll have some forts and some cities and some modernized living for the Alamegans. So, yeah, we'll definitely see some things that are different there, but still somewhat familiar. All right, on to the next question. I think we're a little bit more than halfway through. Hi, first time asker, long time viewer. Here's 2 lockboxes and 12 damaged lockboxes. I can't wait to get 2 spoils from that. Anyway, I've been playing 14 since 2.x and always wondered what's the future of the main story roulette. It's a very good question. Probably never gonna change, in all honesty. It's really lame, but there's way too many complaints about the Praetorium and Castra Meridianum and what happened there. So yeah, it'll probably just stay exactly the same way it is now and never have another instance added to it. Like, why can't they add instances to it from Heavensward? Because they don't want to, because people complained about it. That's why, what's it called? Aetherochemical is not there, because people complained about the way that the Castra Meridianum and the Praetorium happened. It's just going to be 2 instances. Dude, I think it's going to be 2 instances forever in the main story roulette. I don't think it's ever changing. I think that's the best way I could think to put it. All right, next question. Hello, Mr. Hello. Whatever happened to Golden Sun? I miss it. What about you? Golden Sun, I was really young when Golden Sun came out. You gotta know that. Like, I was really young when Golden Sun came out. So, whatever happened to it, they made it, and then they didn't make another one. That's what happened to it. Speaking of Camelot games, I miss Shining Force. Shining Force, on the other hand, I have played. Now I'm finding myself missing 16-bit RPGs. What do you miss? Super Mario RPG. Give me Super Mario RPG 2, Legend of the Seven Stars again. I don't care. And I know Paper Mario is pretty much, you know, Super Mario RPG's successor, but no, I want Super Mario RPG. I want Mallow, I want Geno, I want Bowser, Peach, I want all 5, I want all of the crew back together. I want it all back together, please. Alright, on to the next one. Hey, Mr. Happy, long time watcher, but second time asker. Really, I feel like well, you have 3 posts. You're a liar. You're a third time asker. No, you probably had 2 posts for something, or you posted in like a different part of the forums. Anyway, I'm a very casual player that doesn't have much interest in hardcore content. That speaks for the majority of the community. I play... Oh, it's cut off at the end. It probably has been cut off this whole time. I didn't even notice. Hold on, watch this. Watch this. Boop. Boop. There you go. All right. I'm very good. So I play all 3 healers and enjoy each one of them for different reasons, but my personal favorite is White Mage. My question is in regards to healer balancing. I hear many people saying White Mage is currently the least desired. Never felt any deficiency when playing White Mage versus Scholar Astro. In fact, I find the big fatty heals tend to let me DPS just a little longer because first of all, in 4-man content, you're never going to notice it. Like, holy is God tier in 4-man content. In 24-man content, who fucking gives a shit? It's so easy. It's only in the hardcore 8-man content that you will ever notice any sort of job deficiency. It doesn't matter what. And I'm only referring to the endgame rates. Even the primals, which, I mean, yeah, you look at each primal, generally there's some job that holds an advantage in each one, and there is always going to be that meta composition, you know what I'm saying? But even still, like, unless you are doing, like, hardcore, and I mean not just hardcore, but, like, world progression, min-max type FF log stuff, you're never going to notice a deficiency in any job that you play. Minus the fact that Paladin still has awful AoE DPS. You'll notice that in all content. Don't worry. That's about the only thing you'll notice in all content, is that Paladin has no AoE DPS. So, sorry. But, yeah, no, I mean, that's it. This question's, yeah, curious. But you want to know what abilities currently placed. So, Scholar can literally DPS and have their pet heal to everything. And then they just put shields up when it's necessary, or let the other healer do whatever. Astro has the balance. It's got cards, but the balance is the big one. On top of its healing just being God tier. It's got some great cooldowns, Disable. It's got Sinistry. It's got Light Speed for that healing on the go. On top of the fact we still have Swift Cast. It's got some dank shields or some dank heals over time. And then you wrap that all together in a card system that's going to buff your damage, reduce the damage you take, whatever it is you want it to do. And you have, after all the buffs that it received, the God that is Astrologian. Hopefully that is an adequate answer. Alright, on to the next one. Hello, Mr. Happy. This is Final Sim, and welcome to my question on your channel. We heard in a few State of Realms back with Baron that Square Enix released a new super boss for those who have cleared the Creator Savage tier. That is not what we heard. We heard that in the next tier, in the Omega Savage raid tier, that if you have completed all 4 tiers of Omega, they will give you an additional challenge. And we don't even know what that kind of is. What was the speculation? Is it really something? That was not speculation. That was straight up from interviews. So if you've been paying attention to some of the interviews that came out of both just the actual, well, the live letters themselves or the opening keynotes themselves for the different fan festivals, or the interviews that have been coming out of the fan festivals, we even list our sources in that video. So go to that video and look for the sources that we name in the video itself. And I honestly just think that it's not going to be its own boss. I think it's going to just be like the final boss of the raid tier, but a 3rd difficulty. I don't think they're not going to make a unique boss encounter that is its own model, that's its own everything, that is only accessible to literally 1% of the community, and not expect the backlash that they got from the Binding Coil only having 1 difficulty, as much as people still like to argue about that. So I fully anticipate it's either one or all the bosses of the raid tier brought up to a 3rd difficulty, more reminiscent of that of the Savage 2nd Coil. I don't think they're going to do a new character or boss or anything like that at all. Please make a YouTube series that talks about the history and lore of 14. I mean, I've done that from time to time, but I mean, I have a lore series that covers a bunch of stuff, but I don't feel the need. There's already great resources out there for that. I have no interest in doing all of those lore videos going all the way from 1.0 to 3.56 when there's only a few key important points that even exist in 1.0 that lead to the events of 2.0, that lead to the events of 3.0, that are now leading to the events of 4.0. And we kind of cover them all in State of the Realm. So I don't feel like making a dedicated video series. I just don't feel it's necessary. There's plenty of resources out there that already do that. And I don't think I have anything to add of value to those specific topics. Alright, on to the next one. Hey, Happy. Hope you are having a great day. Pretty good. I got to play some Kingdom Hearts 2, but I had to do Atlantica in Kingdom Hearts 2. Only the first song. Still not feeling great about it. Anyway, I have one quick question for you today. Has there been an announcement on when early access Stormblood will start? Yes, in fact, the day they announced the release date, they announced their early access. Well, that's not true. They didn't announce that early access would be, I think, until one FanFest later. But yeah, it straight up says June 16th wherever you look. If you just do a quick Google search, Stormblood early access, you'll straight up find the answer is June 16th, tentatively. I'll still leave that tentatively in there because it still says it, but still. But it's the 16th of June indeed. On to the next one. Hello there, Mr. Haps. Hey, yo. Hey, yo. Okay, first time asking here, and boy, do I have quite the questions to ask. But first off, have a bonus of a few extra days on early access for the release of Stormblood. So I'm going to say this. That's actually not something I want, because I'd be doing it all alone. I'd get to the first dungeon and be like, Oh, shit. Or I'd go to level Red Mage. Alright, time to level Red Mage. Let's go do Pal... I guess I could level solo on Palace of the Dead. Or I could do... Oh, I'd be the only one at the face. I guess I could do the roulette... Oh, that's not going to work. Everybody needs to have the early access a few days earlier. Not just me. I'm not going to be selfish about that one. Anyway, first questions. I thought on ideas of what skills I'd like to see for tanks. Okay, so if this is a, I'm going to give you a list of things, what do you think? We don't do those here because literally we will be here all day because everyone has ideas, everyone has thoughts. And, I mean, sometimes, it's one thing if you want to say, hey, Paladin gets railed for this one specific thing, and what do you think of this? Or what could they do? It's a different thing to just start listing a series of ideas and all. The video is just going to be extended way too long. So, it's just, I'm not going to be able to go into any question that is like that. Second question, I'm seriously excited for Red Mage and Samurai. My only question is, though, between the two of them, what do you think will have the most utility in raid parties? So that's tough because they are both dedicated DPS. None of them are assuming the role of what Bard or Machinist take up. And generally, those are considered, the range DPS are considered more so than the others, the utility role. Mostly because they have the AoE, the AoE HP regen, the AoE TP regen, MP regen. They can open up the damage, with foes or with hypercharge, and then they have, silences and stuns and binds and all that stuff. But that's not to say the other DPS jobs don't have their utilities. If you look at Ninja, it would basically be considered the melee equivalent with the TP regeneration and the aggro balancing that Ninja's able to do. So I'd like to believe Red Mage would be the winner of those two, and just because, as much as ours is a pure DPS, you are not going to be able to be a healer Red Mage. Even if they give you one healing ability, it'll probably have like a 2-minute cooldown or some shit. You're not going to be able to be a tank as a Red Mage, although when you do enough DPS, sometimes that makes you an involuntary tank. So if it does that much damage, then yes, you may actually end up being that. Use your quelling strikes. But anyway, I mean, I just feel like just because of what its origins are, it's kind of set up to have more utility. I mean, we're expecting some sort of single target MP equivalent of goad. Refresh, of course, all the Final Fantasy XI players. It could have one off global cooldown heal that almost acts like second wind but cast on another target. It could have those things that are unique to it, but we don't know yet. So my bet would be Red Mage if I had to pick between the two. Alright, next question. Hey, how you doing? No, how you doing? No, how you doing? How you doing? How you doing, alright? Alright, okay, alright. Hope all is well. On to the question. Long-time viewer, second-time asker, have a bonus of perfect dungeon runs for your Healer Happy videos to come. No, I don't want perfect dungeon runs for Healer Happy. That's not entertaining. I need the worst dungeons imaginable so I can show you me trying my hardest to play with a controller and not being great at it, but telling you how you could be great at it so you'll be great at it when you do it. Anyway, my question is not exactly game-related. That's perfectly fine. It doesn't have to be game-related. Lastly, I've been browsing around on YouTube and ran across an interesting series. It's done by the Speakers Network channel. It's called Fall and Rise of Final Fantasy. It is indeed an excellent series, one of those resources that you can bring up that I mentioned earlier. It's one of those resources that will cover some of those earlier times. Just wondering if you have seen this and what your thoughts were. I mean, it's good. That's exactly the kind of resource I was talking about in the earlier question. There's not much more to go with it. It's good. Watch it. There you go. That's my opinion. Hey! Almost done with the forum questions. I think this is this one and 3 more, and then we'll be good to go. Hello, Mr. Happy. I hope you're enjoying your new computer. Oh, I am. So I had to get this computer RMA'd because the CPU was going up to like 80 degrees Celsius every time I open a program. And apparently when I got it back, I checked the CPU history while they were repairing it. And it had even gone as high as 100 degrees Celsius, so they really pushed the boundaries on that one. But now they fixed it. It doesn't really run hotter than 48 to 52 degrees Celsius, even when I'm running all this shit that I'm streaming right now, so it is doing much better, and I'm enjoying it a lot. Might get a similar one before Stormblood, so here are my questions. 1, what do you think would be more effective to help the player base get better? Reworking the combat system or including more training tools tailored to max level rather than to low levels? So those two things are fine. First of all, reworking the combat system, no matter what, with basically the only way you make that easier is you reduce the number of skills. They want to maintain the same number of skills, but relax the gap between max and minimum. So we know that that's not going to be a major aspect. More training tools, that's great. I want an intermediate haul, especially if they're going to eventually do those jump potions. I want a haul that tries to get you to chain your abilities together in certain ways, specifically for each job. If you go into, when you unlock Fire 3 and Blizzard 3, intermediate haul should have something that opens up that explains to you how that shit fucking works. It should. It really, really should. I think the ultimate thing, though, is if there's not enough content that challenges the players to play better, and I'm not saying they need to make a bunch of content that's like 8-man savage quality. just the general level needs to be a little bit higher. A good example is actually Small Hard Mode. It has enough familiar mechanics, but the damage output and the way the bosses fight you is actually sort of refreshing for me. You know, I'm not used to going into a 4-man and seeing tanks taking these massive tank busters that they've just never had before, even with cooldowns up, or having healers that have to learn what the spike damage and the spike healing is. Even just little things like the improvements I feel like Small Hard Mode had are efficient methods of having players improve, or for players to be put in a scenario where they're regularly in danger and be able to learn from those experiences. Ultimately though, if a player doesn't want to improve, they won't try to improve. It doesn't matter if the game requires it of them or not. They'll just stop where they were and just be like, well, can't do it. That's it. There's no desire to improve. But I feel like regardless of how many tools you have to improve the player base, you have to make sure there's enough content that adequately challenges them, not so much to the point as 8-man Savage Raids, but more so than what most of the content currently does. So it's a bit of an in-between point for me, really. And 2, what is your final opinion on Revelation Online? So I did my sponsored stream for Revelation Online. I put up my sponsored video for Revelation. So I have a general rule of thumb when it comes to sponsored stuff. When I do sponsored content, it either has to be a game I've played and I know I like, or it has to be a game I've never played before, and it will form opinions while doing the sponsored content. Generally, if I don't like it, I'll try to say as little as possible. I'll just play, I'll make note of things, I'll laugh about a few things, I'll talk with my chat, and that's it. Revelation was just I didn't really like it. It was one of those games where I went in, knew nothing about it, and by the end of it, I was like, I'm not gonna play this anymore. Like I finished the sponsored thing, I showed people the game like I said I would, and that's the end of it. That's why I just said, okay, I'm gonna take 30 minutes of gameplay from my stream and just present it to people and let them form their opinions, and that's it. It's on my channel. That's what they did, and that's all that's gonna be. So you now know the secret behind the sponsored content on my channel and sort of how you can read my face and how much fun I'm actually having with it. So I'm just gonna go ahead and say no on Revelation Online. Honestly, if you want one of those like free-to-play MMOs that's kind of still like, obviously it's still gonna have some inklings of pay to win, and it's not gonna be the same quality as a subscription game. Even things like ESO Star Wars are still okay choices to play. But if you're looking for those like really out of the fucking field MMOs that like you think nobody's gonna hear about but you want to try it, Twin Saga was surprisingly good. I actually had a lot of fun with that sponsored content for Twin Saga, and I would gladly play that again. What's another one? There's also Secret World Legends, which is like the re-release of the Secret Worlds MMO that came out several years ago. Skyforge I've never played, so I won't talk about it. And there's one more I was thinking of. There's one, I mean, there's also Dauntless, which isn't an MMO, but still looks, I mean, I've played it. It played pretty well, but it also looks more in a completed method. Just good. I'm looking forward to Dauntless. All right, on to the next one. Yo, Haps, quick question for you. See this Final Fantasy 11? So, yeah, is the FF11 mobile remake dead? No. They just not done yet either. And considering it's Nexon developing it, outside of Nexon Developers Conference, you're not going to hear much about it. Last I heard, it was currently on the schedule for 2017. They presented it alongside of other projects that they are working on for this year, but it was like towards the bottom of the list. So I don't know. That's it. That's it. Until we hear more, that's it. Nothing. That's it. I'm done. Yeah. On to the next one. Hi, Haps. Have a bonus of MILF sauce, ribs, or wings. Dr. Pepper and barbecue sauce in a slow cooker, then a meat till cooked. I think then a meat till cooked. I'm assuming there's some misspellings here. A MILF sauce? Dr. Pepper and barbecue sauce doesn't sound like something I would affiliate with MILF sauce. But, you know, I've never tried it, so don't knock it till you try it. Anyway, my question is, I bought Stormblood on Steam, I entered the code for Early Access, then I saw I got the Standard Edition, so I returned it, got the Collectors, now I try to enter the code for Collectors, it doesn't work. Am I doing something wrong? You already have Stormblood Early Access. You already paid for your Stormblood Early Access. That's on your account. That's not going anywhere. You're not going to be able to enter the code for owning the Collector's Edition until the game actually launches. Because what's going to happen when you put in the early access code, it basically gives you like a week or two of access from the 16th on until you get your registration code. Then you put the full-on registration code into the MOG station, and that will complete your registration. So you're good for early access. It sounds like it's just that when the game actually comes out, you'll get the code, the registration code for your collector's edition specifically, and then you'll be able to get your collector's edition stuff and put the code in and all that other stuff. But hopefully, I hope I'm right, because I don't know how Steam works precisely, but I'm going to assume that that is the series of events that is unfolding right now. And this is the last question on the... I see who it's from. Ugh. Anyway, what's up? Mondays with Mr. Happy, aka Mr. Happy Mondays, aka a better bonus roulette than expert. I'm just using this week to throw some video ideas at you that I want. You can throw video ideas at me. You. Why are you putting them on Mondays? There's no. Why would you do this? Why would you do this? You can just message me these things. I know you. I know who you are. And I know you have a much better means of accessing my brain than Mondays with Mr. Happy. Will you do a Stormblood prediction roundup, maybe even going into more details on your predictions? How about a retrospective of Heaven's Word, where you briefly go over Heaven's Word predictions you made leading into 3.0, what happened, what didn't happen on what prediction that fell short? I feel like State of the Realm covers all that. We talk about this stuff there. I don't know that it needs a standalone video on anything. Other than Omega and the bosses we would see there in the Interdimensional Rift, the potential of Exdeath and Enuo, which again I've already covered in State of the Realm, I don't know that it's worth making its own video series on when that content in particular is already present on the channel in some way, shape, or form. But I'll at least put it under consideration since you went through the very, very difficult prospect of asking me on Mondays instead of just sending me a message. Damn you. I was wrong. This is the last question on the forum. So it said I had 25 replies, and this says reply. Wait, or did you just ask? No, you asked me at 10. Yeah, no, I don't know. It said 25 replies, so I'm guessing my first post is number 1, but instead of, I don't know. I guess I just miscounted. Whatever. Anyway, hey, Mr. Haps, how you doing? To answer your question from last week, I'm doing all right. Well, now, how are you doing now? Because I'm asking you again. So now you can answer. Never mind. My question for you this week is a short one, but it has a spoiler tag, so I'm just going to assume it's an actual spoiler, and you know how we do. I give you the thumbs up. When I give you the thumbs up again, it means the spoilers are done, so just mute your volume until you hear me, until you see me do that again. Not that time, now just restart over, and now just wait. Okay, starting. Alright, let's see here. Lore-wise, who is stronger, Shinryu or Bahamut? I'd imagine Bahamut, because he had thousands of years of prayer and rage built up, but we didn't get to see Shinryu actually go after the realm, and he was meant to contend with Bahamut's strength. We just don't get the best display of it because he was immediately routed by Omega. So it's hard to say. I'd imagine that it's still Bahamut, but I'm just gonna, only because of the power I've actually seen. I know you can't be like Shinryu's level 70, Bahamut's level 50. Levels in MMOs are not canon with how powerful something is. So do not go there, alright? I'm gonna go ahead and say Bahamut. How about that? Anyway, let's see. Why? It says there's another spoiler warning, but I guess there is not. Anyway, spoilers are done. And on that note, we're going to take a few questions here from the Twitch chat. So, yeah, Twitch chat, have some good ones this week, because last week I had to go through a shit ton of questions, and you guys don't have a lot of questions. You got, like, maybe 2 questions here, at best, because there was a lot of questions on the forum, so get to it. Alright, so the first question I'm going to take from the Twitch chat is going to be Mr. Happy. Not sure if the question has, not sure if the question have to be regarding a certain topic. It doesn't. But do you think it would be possible to implement a system for player-made content in the game? And if so, what would be your stance on that? I know some MMOs like EverQuest 2 have done that in the past. It was pretty cool. So, player-made content is always kind of shaky ground, because most players are not developers or have no sort of education on how to make content in games. So generally what you do is you create a template for them, and with that template they can take predetermined tools, place them, and determine what the end goal actually is. I'm not against that, but I'm always very wary of it, because player-made content outside of games like Mario Maker is some of the most successful player-made content that I've seen, at least. But only because of its simplicity, because Mario is not an overly complex game, but some of those levels get crazy complex. People are super creative, and the people who really do dedicate themselves are usually pretty good at it. It's just you end up with a lot of chaff in between of shit that's either just kind of stupid, like, you know, why did somebody even waste their time to make this? Like some 14-year-old went tee and just put something together, like they write dicks in all coins or something like that in Mario Maker. Or you end up with this crazy overcomplicated stuff because the super hardcore people are trying to push what is possible in the game to its very limits. Player-made content, I feel like with the way they make Palace of the Dead and Aquapolis, I feel like there is some room for it, because a lot of that's just take the same resource and copy and paste it over and over again, and if they can do it, why can't we, right? It's a matter of properly incentivizing and rewarding it, because the difference in difficulty between the different player-made contents, it either needs to be done for fun, in which case we already know how difficult it is to get people to do that, or the rewards need to be subtle, or need to properly vary with difficulty. And how is that difficulty determined? Does the person who makes it determine the difficulty? Like, what if it's the easiest stuff and then the player just says, well, it's 5 stars and that's it? You know, do you automatically track it based on the number and the level of the enemies? It's a super difficult thing for me to come to a final conclusion on. So I'm gonna say it can probably be done based on the way some of our content works, but I'm not overly optimistic as to how well it would perform in our in the ecosystem that is Final Fantasy XIV. Next question I have here: why do you think they moved away from having open world content? I wouldn't say they moved away. They added more as the years went on. You have hunts, you have the fates, you have the gathering, you have the beast tribe quests, you have the treasure maps. Aquapolis isn't an instance, but getting into the Aquapolis requires you to go out there and take care of some stuff. And then on top of that, you have the actual backdrop for the main story when you're first progressing through it, which are probably all of the major aspects of the main story you're going to see. You also have the large-scale fates, but those kind of just fall into the same rhythm as the other things. I don't know. I mean, they're not that so much of moving away. Open world content's a very difficult thing to pull together and balance and make engaging without making it feel instanced anyway. I mean, but we've spoken about force spawning enemies out in the open world. You need to make sure that that's happening in a contained way that nobody else can interfere or interrupt. So you basically need to create a small arena in which nobody else can enter. And then you have this space that's basically blocked off for just you and your party. Does another party need their own space? Do they need to wait for you to free up your space? And then is it even really open world? Just because you're seeing it, it's not actually open world content. Not anyone can participate in it. Only the select few can. And then if you just leave it open, then everyone starts running around it, and then they just start standing around, crowding up the space, or they can start hitting it depending on the way that they do it. If they do it like leave quests or whatnot. You do also have leave quests, by the way, but who the hell cares about those? I wouldn't say they moved away from it. I would just say that open world content's, depending on how you do it, is just not great in this day and age. I mean, you pretty much just make cool quests, and that's generally it, like world quests in World of Warcraft, I guess. And that just means you need to have more interesting quests, which they said they're trying to do anyway. They're trying to create the tools to make more interesting quests. So maybe that leads to quests that are more interesting out in the open world itself. But it's just a matter of time before we find out. I don't know. I spend more time out in the world than I spend in Idleshire and Limsa Lominsis, so... But that's because I actually do a variety of the content when I'm leveling up. I don't just stick to the one damn thing. I can't do Palace of the Dead that many times. Can't do it. So I just stay away from that one. All right, so the last question I'm going to take from the Twitch chat is more of a general RPG question. It kind of goes back on the question we just had before this. Mr. Happy, what are your overall thoughts on RPGs being more open world instead of linear gameplay? I am not a fan, to be honest. A lot of people like to pretend like the old school RPGs were open world. They were not. They had a world map. That is very different than being open world. The only Final Fantasy before really 15 that even came close to being open world was Final Fantasy 2. And that led to you being able to take 2 steps too far to the south and getting fucked in the ass by behemoths, pretty much. And that didn't really accomplish much of anything in Final Fantasy 2, and they never did it before or after that ever again. There's always a limit to how far you can reach, and then by the end of the game, you just have free reign, but you're basically just going back to places or going to places that maybe were only accessible once you had the airship in the first place. I'm more of a fan of the structured linearity of old school world map type RPGs, where you may have 2 or 3 locations you can go and that's it, but then as you go through those locations, more locations open up. Not so much the, hey, here you are in this world, dropped open, there is a line that you can follow, but generally just go do whatever the fuck you want. I feel like there's a lot lost in that. Yes, it's fun to explore a world and to find all the little secrets, but I feel like there's some sort of magic that's lost along the way, unless you're very, very careful about the way you craft your world. And I'd like to see some more somewhat structure. I Am Setsuna is a good example of a game that was more structured, but that was maybe a little too structured in a sense. I don't know if that is the right way to put it. But I'm hoping to see more games that follow those lines as opposed to one extreme or the other. A hallway from A to B versus someplace where there is an A to a B, but there's also a C, D, E, F, G, and the whole fucking rest of the alphabet as well. There's definitely too much leaning to one side and not enough moderation of the two, I feel, presently in RPGs. Battle Chasers is looking to be a good alternative to the both, because the world itself is explorable on a grid, but the directions at which you take on the grid are up to you. So if you see an enemy and you know there's another path to get around that enemy because you don't want to fight it, you can still explore around, but it's all a bunch of set paths that let you explore the world on those set paths. I'm really looking forward to Battle Chasers. That game looks like it is going to be fantastic. And that's an RPG that if you're looking to hear what I just said, that's one that you definitely want to pay attention to, because that one's got a good mix of everything from the near hour that I got to play of it at the very least. But anyway, that's going to be a wrap for this week's episode of Mondays with Mr. Happy. I'm still getting used to this. Thumbnails will be as the end card is popping up. Those will pop up at some point coming up here. Relegend, that's another one. I just got introduced to that not too long ago, actually. But anyway, thank you everyone for your questions this week. If you have a question for next week, either tune in to the live stream on Sundays. We usually start answering Q&A questions about 12:30 p.m. PST, anywhere from 12:30 to 1. But Twitch questions are usually closer to 1:15, 1:30. Those are, again, all PST. Or you can just ask the questions on the forums. We had a bunch of questions this week, so go ahead and ask them there. I'll make sure to post that up under the YouTube video when that gets posted on Monday. Anyway, I'm going to hang out with the Twitch chat for a few more minutes, and then I'm going to go put some food in my stomach because I haven't eaten really much in the past 2 or 3 days. Last night I had a few nachos, and then I went to sleep. And that was at 4 o'clock. I had the nachos, and I haven't really eaten since then, and it's now 2 o'clock the next day. So yeah, I should probably go put some food in my stomach. Anyway, I will see you guys on YouTube next week. Twitch will hang out for a few more minutes, and we'll wrap things up. Thank you for coming by, and I'll see you then. Until then, take care.